The planet Xylaris was unlike anything humans had ever imagined. Its skies shimmered with violet and green streaks, and twin suns rose over mountains that seemed carved from crystal. The cities floated in the air, held up by invisible forces, with alien structures spiraling toward the sky. In the midst of this beauty, a quiet tension ran through one of the great Xylarian hospitals. Lyra, a young Xylarian noblewoman, lay on a smooth silver surgical platform. Her body was delicate, almost fragile by human standards, but it radiated an otherworldly grace. Her skin glowed faintly, a natural trait of her species, and her eyes reflected the soft light of the room. But beneath this calm exterior, a dangerous condition threatened her life. A blood clot had formed in one of her most delicate organs, a part of her body where even the most advanced Xylarian medics dared not operate. The medics had tried everything. Machines scanned her constantly, drugs pumped through her veins, but nothing worked. The clot remained stubborn, unyielding, as if daring the physicians to try something they could not fully control. Every Xylarian in the room understood the stakes. One wrong move and Lyra could die. Dr. Torvin, the chief Xylarian medic, paced nervously. His four limbs moved with precision, but his face showed signs of fear, rare for a species known for stoic calm. "It is unlike anything we have seen," he admitted, his voice tight. "Our instruments cannot reach it safely. Any intervention could end her life instantly." "Then we need someone who can think beyond instruments," said a soft voice from the doorway. The room fell silent. All eyes turned toward the newcomer. She was human. Elena Hart, a medic from Earth, had been called across the stars because humans possessed a unique combination of intuition, adaptability, and improvisational skill, traits that advanced Xylarian technology could not replicate. Elena was not tall, and her brown hair was pulled back in a simple braid. Her uniform was practical, not ceremonial like the Xylarian robes, but there was a quiet confidence in the way she walked. Torvin hesitated. "You understand the risks. This is not merely a surgical procedure. Even one small error," Elena nodded. "I understand. But sometimes survival depends on trying something different. I've seen situations like this before. I can help her." The Council of Medics exchanged glances. Their history was long and proud, filled with centuries of medical advancement, yet here they were, relying on a human's instincts to save a life. Finally, one of the senior medics said, "Then we have no choice. She is yours to treat." Elena approached Lyra cautiously, her eyes scanning the complex network of veins and arteries highlighted by the Xylarian scanners. "Hello, Lyra. I'm Dr. Elena Hart. I'm here to help you," she said gently, placing a human hand near the glowing platform without touching it yet. Lyra's eyelids fluttered, a faint tremor passing through her body. The alien was terrified not just of the procedure but of the uncertainty. I feel strange," Lyra whispered in a melodic tone that carried across the room. "The pain, it grows," Elena nodded. "I know, but I'm going to do everything I can to help you. You're not alone." Her voice was calm, steady, the kind that could anchor someone in panic. Humans, she knew, had a way of speaking that seemed to convey reassurance even in impossible situations. Torvin stepped back, allowing Elena to take control. "We will provide the instruments and support you need," he said, still uneasy. "But the method, that is yours alone." Elena studied the monitors, noting the clot's location. It was deep within delicate tissue, surrounded by nerves and vessels that even the most precise Xylarian tools could not navigate safely. A human hand, guided by intuition rather than algorithms, was needed. She touched the console, adjusting the scanners to provide a live 3D map. "You see this?" she said, pointing at the holographic display. "This clot is small, but any mistake could rupture surrounding tissue. I'll need you to monitor vitals, but the approach must be precise, slow, and careful." Torvin and the other medics nodded. They did not fully understand the human methodology, but desperation had left them no choice. Meanwhile, Lyra's breathing was shallow. The pain was increasing, and her glowing skin pulsed with faint streaks of red, indicating stress in her circulatory system. Elena knelt beside her, maintaining eye contact. "I'm going to help you, Lyra. Just focus on my voice. Take slow breaths with me. In and out. In and out." Gradually, the tension in Lyra's body lessened. Elena's calmness had a subtle effect, a human touch that even aliens could feel. For the first time since the clot formed, Lyra's eyes showed a glimmer of hope. Preparations began, Alien surgical drones hovered nearby, ready to assist. Elena selected human instruments that could complement the alien tools. She needed precision but also adaptability. The unexpected could happen at any moment. We cannot rely solely on machines, she reminded the medics. Human hands guided by understanding and careful observation will be the key. As the operation approached, the room fell silent. Every Xylarian present understood that this was a pivotal moment, not just for Lyra's life, but for the relationship between their species and humanity. They watched as Elena carefully inserted the first instrument, her movements deliberate and confident. Time seemed to slow. Monitors beeped softly, tracking Lyra's vitals. The clot, though small, loomed like a mountain in the surgical map. Elena's fingers moved with precision, guided by intuition honed over years of human experience. She was aware of the risks, but her mind remained calm. Lyra's breathing quickened and a soft whine escaped her lips. "It hurts," she whispered. "I know," Elena replied, "but I'm right here. You're going to be okay." Her voice was firm yet gentle, anchoring Lyra in the moment. The medics held their collective breath. Alien instruments hovered, ready to react, but Elena relied on touch and observation. Slowly, carefully, she navigated the delicate pathways, isolating the clot without touching surrounding tissue. Her human intuition allowed her to anticipate movements and reactions that the Xylarian machines could not detect. Minutes stretched like hours. Sweat formed on Elena's brow, though her movements never faltered. Finally, with one careful adjustment, the clot was secured. She paused, checking Lyra's vitals. The monitors stabilized, and a collective sigh of relief filled the room. Elena withdrew the instruments, giving Lyra space to rest. The young Xylarian opened her eyes fully, color returning to her skin. I feel lighter," she said, her voice trembling but filled with relief. Torvin stepped forward, awe in his eyes. You saved her." "I cannot believe it." "Only a human." Elena smiled softly. "Humans adapt. We observe, we feel, and we act. Sometimes, that is more important than technology alone." Lyra reached out, her trembling hand brushing against Elena's. "Thank you," she whispered, her words simple, but filled with genuine emotion. It was the first time a human had touched her life so directly, not just through instruments, but through presence, care, and courage. In that moment, the medics understood something profound. Humans were not just visitors from another world. They were capable of intuition, empathy, and creativity, qualities that could overcome even the most impossible challenges. Elena stepped back, allowing the alien medics to tend to Lyra's recovery. She had done what no machine or alien tool could achieve, and as she looked around the room, she realized something deeper. This was just the beginning. Humanity had a role in the galaxy that went beyond strength or technology. Their courage, their adaptability, and their care could change lives in ways that no one had imagined. The twin suns of Xylaris cast long shadows across the city, and for the first time in many cycles, hope shimmered within the alien walls. The day after the operation, the atmosphere aboard the Xylarian city ship was tense but filled with cautious hope. Lyra rested in her recovery chamber, her glowing skin dimmed slightly from her ordeal but showing signs of vitality. Human care had worked where Xylarian technology had failed, and for the first time, the medics whispered about the potential of working alongside humans, not as equals yet, but as extraordinary allies. Elena Hart remained nearby, observing Lyra, and adjusting medications according to subtle signs the Xylarian machines could not detect. She moved with calm authority, checking vitals, speaking softly, and occasionally guiding the alien medics. Despite her gentle demeanor, there was an unmistakable aura of competence. The aliens, curious and cautious, watched her every move, trying to understand how a human could accomplish what their centuries of knowledge could not. Torvin, the chief medic, approached Elena hesitantly. His four limbs shifted nervously. You handled her delicate system with skill beyond our comprehension. How do you know what to do?" he asked, his voice tinged with both awe and disbelief. Elena smiled faintly. "It's not magic," she said. "It's observation, patience, and understanding how a living body responds. You taught me the Xylarian biology, and I used what I know about humans to fill in the gaps." Torvin tilted his head. "But our instruments, they are precise. They monitor every fluctuation. Yet you relied on touch, intuition, and simple gestures. Sometimes, Elena said softly, a machine can't feel. A living creature can react in ways a machine does not predict. That is why I had to act carefully, moment by moment. The conversation was interrupted by a quiet chime. Lyra stirred, opening her eyes slowly. Her gaze fell on Elena. The pain, she whispered, her voice faint but carrying a note of worry. Elena leaned closer. It's normal to feel discomfort after such a serious condition. But it's improving. I'll stay here with you. You're safe. Lyra's gaze softened and she let out a faint sigh. Even in her weakened state, the Xylarian's pride shone through. You humans, she said quietly, you think differently. Not like us, Elena nodded. Yes, we do. And sometimes that difference can save lives. As the day progressed, Elena walked through the halls of the city ship, observing the alien culture around her. Floating platforms carried citizens from one chamber to another. Alien children played with light-based toys, their laughter echoing like soft chimes. Machines hummed, regulating everything from oxygen to food distribution. The Xylarians valued perfection, predictability, and efficiency. But Elena noticed something their machines could not measure. Emotion, hesitation, and subtle reactions that were easily overlooked yet crucial to survival. Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alarm. Red lights pulsed across the hallways, accompanied by the sharp sound of the alert system. Torvin ran toward her, his movements faster than usual. A complication, he said urgently. Lyra's vitals are unstable. Something unexpected. Elena followed him quickly. In the recovery chamber, Lyra's monitors showed fluctuating readings, arterial pressure spiking, oxygen levels dropping. What happened? Elena asked, her mind racing. No one knows, Torvin admitted. It appeared suddenly. The clot was removed, but her body is reacting strangely. We do not understand why. Elena knelt beside Lyra, placing a steady hand on her arm. It's okay. I'll figure it out. Just focus on my voice, Lyra. You're not alone. The medics moved cautiously, hovering near the instruments. Elena scanned the holographic readouts, analyzing the situation. The complication was subtle, a ripple in the blood flow near the site of the previous clot, creating pressure on surrounding vessels. If ignored, it could trigger another emergency. Elena took a deep breath. We need to act, but carefully. I'll handle the delicate work. You assist me by monitoring vitals and preparing for any sudden changes. The medics nodded, their trust growing in the humans' expertise. Even Torvin, normally cautious and skeptical, stepped back to let Elena guide the process. Hours passed as Elena worked with meticulous care. She adjusted medication levels, monitored Lyra's body responses, and gently guided the alien medics on actions that required precision. Unlike the first operation, this was less about physical skill and more about real-time problem-solving. The human mind had to adapt to unpredictable changes that no algorithm could calculate. Lyra whimpered softly, her eyes squeezed shut. It hurts again, she murmured. I know, Elena replied, her tone calm. But we are almost through it. Just breathe with me, slow, steady. Out. A sense of quiet focus fell over the room. The medics watched silently, fascinated by the human method. Elena's hands moved deftly, reacting to subtle cues in Lyra's skin and vital signs. She adjusted instruments, administered tiny doses of medicine, and offered gentle words that seemed to ease both pain and fear. Then suddenly, a sharp spike appeared in the readings. Lyra gasped, her body tensing. The clot site had caused a minor tear, a complication no one anticipated. Alarmed, Torvin began preparing emergency procedures, but Elena held up a hand. Not yet, she said firmly. I can handle this. Her hands moved with steady precision, repairing the minor tear without triggering further damage. The medics watched in amazement as Elena's intuition guided her every move. Where machines failed, human adaptability triumphed. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the monitors stabilized. Lyra's body relaxed, her breathing evened out. Elena let out a quiet sigh of relief and leaned back. You're going to be okay now, she said softly. Lyra's eyes opened fully, filled with gratitude and wonder. I thought it would end badly, she said, her voice trembling. But you, Elena smiled gently. Humans do what we can, and sometimes that's enough. Torvin stepped forward, his expression a mix of admiration and disbelief. I do not understand it fully, but You have saved her again. Only a human. Elena shook her head slightly. Not just a human. Care, observation, and courage, anyone could learn it. But it requires patience and presence. That is what matters. The Xylarian medics began to speak among themselves, their voices hushed but filled with excitement. The idea that humans possessed unique qualities, ones that could complement their advanced technology, was slowly sinking in. Over the next hours, Elena stayed close to Lyra, monitoring her recovery, explaining each step to the medics and ensuring that no further complications arose. Even the minor details mattered: hydration, rest, subtle changes in body temperature, all of which could mean the difference between recovery and disaster. Lyra looked at Elena with a mixture of awe and curiosity. "Why do humans see things differently?" she asked softly. Elena considered the question for a moment. "I think we are used to uncertainty. On Earth, things often happen that we cannot predict. So we learn to adapt, to improvise, and to trust our senses when nothing else works. That ability, intuition, can be powerful when combined with knowledge." Lyra nodded slowly, her glow returning to a healthy shimmer. "Then, maybe humans are not weak after all," she whispered. Elena smiled. "We are strong in different ways. Sometimes it's not about strength or technology. It's about thinking, caring, and acting when it matters most." As the suns of Xylaris set beyond the floating city, Elena looked out the observation window. The alien world was magnificent, and its people had long relied on perfection and precision. But she knew that sometimes unpredictability and human intuition could change everything. The night passed with a quiet sense of hope. Lyra slept peacefully, her body healing under the careful watch of both human and alien care. Elna, sitting beside her, reflected on the day's events. She had not only saved a life, but had begun to show the Xylarians that humanity had a unique and valuable place in the galaxy. The next morning, the city ship of Xylaris was bathed in the soft glow of its twin suns. The floating towers shimmered in shades of violet and green, reflecting the serene beauty of the alien world. Yet inside the hospital, the atmosphere was far from calm. A sense of tension filled the air. Lyra's condition, though stabilized, still carried risk. The clot had been removed, but her delicate organ required careful inspection to ensure no lingering issues remained. Elena Hart stood in the center of the surgical chamber, her hands ready, her mind sharp. Around her, alien medics hovered, their multiple limbs poised to assist. Every Xylarian present understood the importance of this moment. Human intuition had saved Lyra once, but this operation would test the limits of both human skill and alien technology. Torvin approached her, his usually calm demeanor shadowed with worry. "The complication from yesterday has subsided, but we must act quickly," he said. "Even a minor mistake could cause serious damage." Elena nodded. "I understand. I'll proceed carefully. You'll assist, monitor vitals, and be ready for anything." The medics hesitated, but they nodded. They had witnessed human skill firsthand, yet skepticism lingered. Their machines were precise, but precision alone could not replace judgment, intuition, and the ability to adapt in real time. Lyra lay on the surgical platform, her glowing skin dimmed slightly with anxiety. She looked at Elena, her eyes wide and filled with fear. I'm scared," she whispered. Elena knelt beside her, placing a human hand gently on her arm. "I know," she said softly. "It's normal to be afraid, but I'll be with you every step. You're not alone. We'll do this together." The young Xylarian swallowed, nodding faintly. Elena could see the trust growing in her eyes, a fragile but vital connection that would help Lyra remain calm during the operation. Elena activated the hybrid surgical instruments, combining human tools with alien precision devices. The holographic scanner projected a 3D map of Lyra's organ, highlighting the site of the previous clot. Even to Elena's trained eyes, the task was daunting. The tissue was delicate, and any error could trigger another clot or internal bleed. "Steady. Focus," Elena muttered under her breath as she began the operation. Her hands moved slowly, carefully, guided by intuition and a deep understanding of both human and Xylarian anatomy. She adjusted instruments with minute precision, monitoring how Lyra's body reacted in real time. Alien medics watched, their eyes wide with amazement, as the human medic navigated an area that even the most advanced machines could not safely reach. Minutes passed like hours. Lyra's body responded to Elena's touch. Subtle changes visible only to someone trained to observe minute details. Sweat formed on Elena's brow, but her movements never faltered. She whispered instructions to the alien medics, guiding them to assist at exactly the right moments. Suddenly, a warning beep sounded. A minor vessel near the site of the previous clot showed signs of stress. Elena froze, analyzing the situation. The tear from yesterday's complication had left a fragile area, vulnerable to rupture. One wrong move and the consequences would be severe. "Prepare the stabilizers," she instructed, her voice calm but firm. "If there's any rupture, we act immediately. But stay ready. Don't interfere unless I ask." Torvin nodded, his multiple limbs adjusting the instruments carefully. The other medics hovered, their eyes fixed on Elena's hands, learning, observing, and silently respecting the human skill. Elena took a deep breath and proceeded. She isolated the fragile vessel, using a combination of gentle pressure, precise cuts, and medication to reduce stress. Every movement required calculation and instinct. No machine could predict the subtle shifts in tissue tension that her fingers could feel. Lyra whimpered softly. "It hurts. A little," she said, her voice trembling. Elena placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "I know," she whispered. "But we're almost done. Just a little longer. Focus on my voice. Breathe with me. In up and out." Slowly, carefully, the vessel was stabilized. The clot site was inspected, any remaining fragments removed, and the tissue reinforced with a delicate combination of human technique and alien technology. A ripple of relief passed through the medics. They had witnessed the impossible, human ingenuity and intuition in action, achieving what no machine, no matter how advanced, could replicate. "Almost done," Elena murmured, her hands steady as she finished the final adjustments. She monitored Lyra's vitals, ensuring everything remained stable. The young Xylarian's breathing had evened, her pulse normalized, and the delicate organ showed no signs of stress. Finally, Elena withdrew the instruments. She stepped back, allowing the alien medics to take over routine monitoring. Lyra opened her eyes fully, a faint glow returning to her skin. I feel better," she said, her voice filled with awe and relief. Elena smiled softly. "You did well. Your body responded perfectly. Just rest now, you're safe." Torvin stepped forward, his expression a mixture of admiration and disbelief. "I cannot believe it. Only a human could have performed this. Our machines are centuries of experience. And still you succeeded." Elena shook her head slightly. "It's not just being human. It's understanding, observing, and acting carefully. Sometimes courage and patience matter more than any machine or tool." The medics began to speak among themselves, their voices filled with quiet excitement. They discussed techniques, the human approach, and the subtle decisions Elena had made. The realization grew. Human intuition, creativity, and adaptability were qualities their technology could not replicate. Lyra reached out, her trembling hand brushing against Elena's. "Thank you," she whispered, "for saving me." Again, Elena placed a hand over hers. "You don't need to thank me. We did this together. You trusted me, and that made all the difference." The atmosphere in the chamber was electric, filled with admiration and newfound respect. For the first time, Xylarian medics openly acknowledged the uniqueness of human skill. It was a quiet but profound victory, proof that humans had a role in the galaxy beyond their technology, beyond strength and beyond physical prowess. Hours later, as Lyra rested peacefully, Elena walked through the observation corridors, reflecting on the day's events. The floating city, with its violet skies and crystalline towers, seemed even more magnificent now. The Xylarians had long relied on perfection, precision, and predictability. Yet humans, with their courage, intuition, and empathy, could accomplish the impossible when the unexpected arose. Elena knew that her journey on Xylaris was far from over. There would be new challenges, new situations where human ingenuity would be tested against the vast unknown of alien worlds. But for now, she allowed herself a quiet moment of satisfaction. She had saved a life where no machine or alien tool could, and in doing so, had begun to forge a bridge between species. As she looked out at the twin suns setting over the floating towers, she understood something deeply important. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of danger. But humans had a unique gift: adaptability, courage, and intuition. These traits were not just tools. They were the very essence of survival and heroism. The morning on Xylaris began with a calm that belied the tension inside the hospital. Lyra rested in her recovery chamber, her glowing skin slowly regaining its usual shimmer. The previous day's operation had been a success thanks to Elena Hart's human intuition and precise skill. The Xylarian medics had watched in awe as a human performed what even their most advanced instruments could not achieve. Yet, calm on Xylaris was never permanent. As Elena adjusted medications and checked monitors, a sharp beep echoed through the chamber. Lyra's vitals had changed abruptly. Her pulse surged and oxygen levels fluctuated. A shadow of panic crossed the faces of the alien medics. Torvin's voice was tense. Another complication. We do not understand why. The clot was removed. There should be no reason for this. Elena immediately leaned over Lyra, her hands moving instinctively to stabilize the young Xylarian. It's okay. Let's see what we are dealing with, she said, her tone calm but urgent. She studied the monitors, noticing a subtle ripple in the circulatory flow near the previously operated site. The vessel, it's reacting, Elena murmured. We need to act carefully. If it bursts, she could lose too much blood. But if we overcorrect, we could create a new problem. The alien medics prepared emergency instruments, hovering anxiously. They had seen Elena perform miracles before, but even they felt the weight of this moment. Unlike before, this complication was unpredictable, an unknown variable in Lyra's delicate system. Elena took a deep breath. I need complete focus. Everyone else follow my instructions precisely. No improvisation until I direct it. Torvin nodded, stepping back to give her space. The other medics watched silently, their multiple limbs poised but restrained. For the first time, they saw human skill in action as more than technique. It was judgment, adaptability, and quick thinking in response to danger. Elena began her careful examination. Her hands moved with precision, guided by touch and observation. Machines hummed, but she relied on her intuition, feeling the subtle shifts that no scanner could detect. Lyra whimpered softly, her voice trembling. It hurts, she said, her glowing skin flickering with stress. I know, Elena said gently. Stay calm. Focus on my voice. Breathe with me. In and out. We will get through this. The minutes dragged. The vessel's reaction was worse than expected. Small tears, invisible to scanners, had begun forming along the delicate tissue. A sudden burst could be catastrophic. Elena knew she had only one chance to stabilize it without causing more damage. She worked methodically, using a combination of human technique and alien instruments. Every adjustment required careful observation of Lyra's body response. Even a tiny mistake could trigger a disaster. Monitor blood flow, Elena instructed the medics. Watch for subtle changes in pressure. Any spike, we react immediately. But trust me, this must be done slowly. Torvin's eyes widened as Elena moved with a calm precision he could not fully comprehend. Her hands were steady, her mind alert, predicting the unpredictable. Slowly, she applied pressure, administered a minute dose of stabilizing medication, and used micro-instruments to reinforce the vessel walls. Almost there, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Sweat dotted her forehead, but her movements were flawless. Suddenly, Lyra gasped. A small rupture had begun. Alarm sounded in the chamber. The alien medics reacted instinctively, but Elena held up a hand. Stop, she commanded. I've got this. Her hands moved faster now, guided by intuition and split-second observation. She redirected the blood flow, applied precise pressure, and used a stabilizing agent to seal the tear. The room held its collective breath as the seconds stretched. Finally, the monitor stabilized, showing Lyra's vitals returning to normal. A wave of relief passed through the chamber. Even Torvin, usually composed, visibly exhaled. Incredible, he said softly. Only a human could think and act like that in real time. Elena leaned back slightly, her hands still hovering near Lyra. It's not magic. Just observation, patience, and adaptation. Humans learn to improvise when the unexpected happens. That's what saved her. Lyra's eyes opened fully, glowing softly. I thought it would end badly, she said. But you saved me again, Elena smiled gently. Yes, and now you need to rest. Your body has been through a lot. The alien medics began to speak among themselves, amazed. They had seen technology fail and succeed, but this was beyond their understanding. Human adaptability, Quick thinking and empathy had achieved what centuries of their own advancement could not. Torvin approached Elena quietly. You have changed our understanding. Humans are different, not weaker, not inferior, but capable of things our machines cannot replicate. Elena nodded. And that's why we must work together. Each species brings something unique. Technology, intuition, empathy, they all have their place. As Lyra rested, Elena guided the medics in monitoring her recovery. Explaining subtle signs and adjustments they would have missed without human experience, she emphasized the importance of observation, improvisation, and calm judgment, teaching the Xalarians lessons they had never considered. By the afternoon, Lyra's body had stabilized completely. The glowing shimmer returned to her skin, and her pulse and vitals were strong. She looked at Elena with admiration and gratitude. You humans, you think differently. You don't just follow rules, you act when it matters. Elena smiled softly. Exactly. And sometimes that difference can save lives. Torvin watched silently impressed. We must learn from this. The galaxy is unpredictable, and humans understand unpredictability. That is something we cannot ignore. Even the younger medics began to see the value of human intuition. They asked questions, observed techniques, and marveled at how Elena had remained calm while navigating a situation that could have ended in disaster. As the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows over the floating towers, Elena stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the city. The sky shimmered with violet and green, and the wind carried the soft hum of Xylarian machinery. She reflected on the day's events. She had faced unexpected complications, moments where the outcome was uncertain, and yet human ingenuity and courage had prevailed. The Xylarians had begun to recognize the unique value of humans, not just as allies, but as beings capable of thinking, adapting, and acting in ways no machine or rigid protocol could achieve. Lyra, now resting peacefully, would awaken to a body healed, a life saved, and a deep understanding of what humans could offer. And for Elena, the sense of accomplishment was not just in saving a life, but in opening a door between species, a bridge built on respect, trust, and the quiet power of human skill. Night fell on Xylaris, and the city ship glowed softly under the twin suns' fading light. Inside the hospital, a quiet celebration lingered, not of human dominance, but of human adaptability, courage, and compassion. Elena's journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of unpredictable challenges, and she knew that human intuition would continue to play a vital role. The twin suns of Xylaris rose gently over the floating city, casting soft violet and green light across the crystalline towers. The city ship stirred with activity as citizens prepared for another day, unaware of the drama and heroism that had unfolded within the hospital walls. Inside the recovery chamber, Lyra stirred from her rest, her glowing skin now vibrant and healthy. The dangerous clot that had threatened her life was gone, and the delicate organ that had terrified even the most advanced medics was now fully stabilized. Elena Hart sat beside her, observing closely but now with a quiet satisfaction. The young Xylarian's recovery had been complete, thanks to careful human intuition, courage, and steady hands. Lyra's eyelids opened slowly, and she gazed at Elena with a mixture of gratitude, wonder, and something else. Admiration. You saved me, Lyra whispered, her voice soft but filled with emotion. Not just once, twice. No one else could have done it. Elena smiled gently. It wasn't magic. It was observation, patience, and care. You trusted me, and that trust made all the difference. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Humans, you think differently. You feel and act, and you see things that our machines cannot. Yes, Elena replied, and that is what makes humans unique. We may not have your technology, but we have other strengths, intuition, adaptability, and the courage to act in the face of the unknown. Torvin and the Council of Xylarian medics entered the room, their expressions a mix of awe and respect. Elena Hart, Torvin began, his voice steady but reverent. You have changed our understanding. You have shown us that humans possess qualities that no machine, no matter how advanced, can replicate. Your courage, skill, and intuition have saved a life that we thought might be lost forever. Elena shook her head slightly. It's not about being superior, she said. It's about working together. Different strengths complement each other. Humans have intuition and adaptability. You have technology and knowledge. Together, we can achieve what neither alone could. The council murmured among themselves, slowly beginning to appreciate the truth in her words. They had relied on centuries of technology, on precision and control, yet it had been a human's careful observation and improvisation that had overcome the impossible. Lyra sat up slightly, her glow reflecting the morning light. I want to understand more, she said. Your methods, your thinking, humans, you are remarkable. Not just your hands, your mind, your heart? Elena nodded, touched by the words. You've already learned a lot just by observing. The rest comes with experience and empathy. Always pay attention, always adapt, and always care. That is the essence of what humans can do. The medics gathered closer, curiosity and admiration shining in their eyes. Torvin spoke again, his tone formal but filled with genuine respect. Elena Hart, you have earned our trust and our gratitude. Humanity has a place in our galaxy, not as conquerors, not as mere visitors, but as thinkers, as caregivers, as beings capable of extraordinary deeds. Outside the recovery chamber, news of Lyra's recovery spread quickly. Citizens whispered about the human who had saved a Xylarian noblewoman, where even the finest technology had failed. Elena moved through the halls, observing the quiet awe on their faces. The Xylarians had long prided themselves on perfection, efficiency and control, yet here they were, recognizing the value of intuition, courage, and compassion, qualities they had not fully appreciated before. Elena was invited to a formal ceremony later that day. The council chamber was vast, filled with crystalline panels that refracted light in every direction. Xylarians of all ranks and ages had gathered, eager to witness this recognition of human skill. Lyra was present, radiant and healthy, sitting beside Torvin. Torvin stepped forward to address the assembly. Today we honor not just the recovery of a life, but the demonstration of qualities that we, for all our advancement, cannot fully replicate. Elena Hart, a human medic, has shown courage, patience, and the wisdom to act where our machines would hesitate. Her actions remind us that the galaxy is vast and unpredictable, and that there is much we can learn from those we once underestimated. A ripple of applause filled the chamber. Xylarians, known for their reserved and measured emotions, expressed their admiration through gestures, hums, and soft vocalizations. It was a quiet but profound celebration, acknowledging not just the act of saving Lyra, but the power of human ingenuity and empathy. Elena stepped forward, accepting the formal thanks with humility. I am honored, she said. But the real lesson is this. Every being has something unique to offer. We must learn from each other, work together, and respect the differences that make us strong. Today we saved one life, but together we can face challenges far greater than any one species alone. Lyra reached out and took Elena's hand, her eyes shining with gratitude. I will never forget this, she said softly, and I will tell others. Humans are remarkable. They are more than we imagined. Over the following days, Elena worked with the Xylarian medics to train them in observational techniques, subtle monitoring, and adaptive problem-solving. She taught them how to notice minute changes that no machine could detect, how to respond when unexpected complications arose, and how to combine their advanced technology with human intuition for the best results. The Xylarians learned quickly, but more importantly, they learned to respect the human way of thinking. The young medics began to practice, guided by Elena's patience. They simulated procedures, experimented under her watchful eye, and slowly began to understand that intuition and adaptability were as vital as knowledge and technology. Elena observed their progress with quiet satisfaction. Humanity had not just saved a life. It had begun to leave a lasting legacy on Xylaris. Lyra, now fully healed, visited the observation deck with Elena. The city ship floated gracefully above the alien landscapes, twin suns casting long, colorful reflections across the crystalline towers. You've changed everything, Lyra said quietly. We will never forget what humans can do. You've shown us courage, care, and thinking beyond the obvious. That is remarkable, Elena smiled. And you've shown me the importance of trust and collaboration. This is how different worlds can work together, by combining strengths, respecting differences, and caring for one another. As the sun set, casting violet and green shadows over the floating city, a new understanding settled across Xylaris. Humans were no longer merely visitors, they were respected allies capable of extraordinary thought, bravery, and compassion. Elena knew her journey was far from over, but this moment marked a turning point. Humanity had proven its value not through technology or force, but through ingenuity, empathy, and courage. That night, as Elena walked through the quiet halls of the hospital, she reflected on the events. Lyra was safe, the medics inspired, and the Council of Xylarian leaders beginning to understand the true potential of humanity. It was more than a victory. It was a foundation for future collaboration, trust, and shared exploration in a galaxy full of uncertainty and wonder. In the days that followed, stories of human ingenuity spread across the city ship. Citizens spoke of the medic who had saved a life that machines could not, who had acted with courage, patience, and intelligence. Young Xylarians looked to the humans as examples, learning that strength was not only in technology or perfection, but also in observation, empathy, and adaptability. Elena Hart had not just saved Lyra, she had inspired a species. She had shown that humans were capable of extraordinary acts, even on worlds far beyond their own. And as she looked up at the stars from the observation deck, she knew that the galaxy was filled with challenges yet to come. But with courage, patience, and human ingenuity, anything was possible. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the city ship in a soft twilight. Lyra stood beside Elena, her glow bright and healthy, and the Xylarians had learned a lesson they would carry forever. Sometimes, the greatest power lies not in technology or rules, but in the courage, adaptability, and heart of a single human being. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and full of wonders, and humans capable of thinking, caring, and acting where others could not, were ready to meet it all.